So after Kamala Harris released her economic policies that she's going to prioritize, all the right people started to bitch and moan and cry and whine and hurl absurd accusations. So let me walk you through it right now. So first we have the New York Post here. The title on the cover is Communism. Oh, they were waiting to break this one out, weren't they? They could not wait to break this one out. Obviously, it's a mix of her name, Kamala, with communism. They have communism. Oh, clever. It says, Harris unveils budget-breaking $1.7 trillion economic plan that includes government price controls. All right, so let me say right off the bat, no, it does not include, quote, price controls. It includes a ban on price gouging, which is different. If you're saying, hey, in the extremes, we're going to not allow you to price gouge, that's one thing. If you're controlling across the board all prices, that's something different. And that would have bigger, more drastic economic consequences that would have unintended blowback that goes along with it. But just a ban on price gouging is not that. Guys, over 30 states in this country already have bans on price gouging. If there's something like a natural disaster, they can't just jack up the price to whatever they want. And they can't use, oh, it's just supply and demand as an excuse. You cannot price gouge during an emergency. So again, that's at the state level. All she's doing is saying, hey, at the federal level, let's do a similar thing. Let's put a cap on how much they can jack up their prices, right? Perfectly reasonable. And I love the idea. This is the classic old school Republican deficit hawk bullshit where they're like, large, scary number. Be afraid of the large and scary number. Guys, if this works on you, I don't know what to tell you, right? All the people who do large, scary number bit, you need to understand, literally none of them understand how the annual deficit works, how the national debt works. They just think, if I just say a number that sounds large and scary, you should think, that's bad, we should stop that. It's this idea, this implication that a national budget, a national debt works the same as household debt. And it doesn't. We have our own fucking sovereign currency, right? It's not the same thing. So all this is based on a total misunderstanding as to how government spending works, right? So just a large number, be afraid. So again, let's be clear. They're saying communism, so Kamala's a communist, right? We have Donald Trump posting this. Man, he's fallen off so hard with his Twitter game. Somebody said the other day, he used to be a top 5 poster of all time. Now he is washed, bro. He is so washed. Now he's like Shaq when he was on the Celtics, right? I mean, he just lost the juice. First of all, even in his, attack here, the crowd is packed. I love that. Even in his attack, okay, you're kind of popular now. But also, the Soviet Union, really? Communism, really? This is the best you can fucking come up with, man? So just to remind everybody what we're dealing with here and what they're calling communism, $25,000 subsidy for first-time home buyers. She's pairing that with 3 million new houses being built. So attack it on the supply and demand side, attack it on the supply side and attack it with a subsidy on the other end. $6,000 child tax credit. J.D. Vance said he wants $5,000. I love that they were just like, how about 6? One up it. Glorious. Phenomenal politics. Elimination of medical debt. Based. Ban on price gouging for groceries and food. Based. Cap on prescription drug costs. Based. So in other words, go further. In the IRA, they had, they reduced the drug prices for some drugs for Medicare recipients. She's like, let's go further. Let's just reduce drugs across the board. Earned income tax expansion, Affordable Care Act subsidies, targeting pharmaceutical companies. And there's that also tax cuts for the middle class is another part of it. But they're calling this communism. Guys, to these idiots, to these morons, anything slightly to the left of conservatism, they will call communism. So if you are a social democrat, wrong. No, you're not. They say you're a communist. If you are a liberal, wrong. No, you're not. They say you're a communist. If you are a centrist, wrong. No, you're not. They're going to call you a communist. Anything slightly to the left of conservatism, to them, is communism, right? There's a whole rich array and variety of political ideologies and philosophies that are in this sphere, but they say, no, you're all communists. Come on, man. Come on. Okay. So again, that's their main line of attack. Let's be clear. What is communism? Communism is a political and economic doctrine that aims to replace private property and a profit-based economy with public ownership and communal control of at least the major means of production. So mines, mills, factories, the natural resources of a society. So let me ask you this. Is that what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are proposing? Are they saying that the public needs to own all of the means of production? The public needs to own all of the factories? The public needs to own all of the mills? The public needs to own all of the resources of society? The closest thing you could say that we have to any communism in this country is in Alaska, a very conservative state, where basically the Alaskan public owns the oil that's underneath the ground. So they get cut a check whenever that oil gets given to an oil company, sold to an oil company. That's the closest thing you can say. Hey, they own the natural resources. They own the natural resource of oil, and they get a check for it. So it's deep red Alaska is the closest thing we have in this country to communism. She's proposing some social democratic things, right? I would argue. And then most of the things are just basic liberal ideas. But no, that's communism according to them. So I haven't given you my favorite one yet. You ready for this? So we got communist, we got radical, we got socialist, we got you believe in the Soviet Union. Look at this one. Jack Posobiec, one of the absolute worst far-right posters, just a pervasive spreader of misinformation. He comes out and says this. Breaking. Former student on China trip says Tim Walz is, quote, Maoist to the core. Maoist. Bro, you guys aren't even trying. You guys are not even trying. This is sad. This is sad. I mean, they are cooked, bro. I've never seen them this cooked. Okay, so just to give you a little more, we went through this in the previous segment, but I want to bring it up again. So the main thing that they say is communist is the price controls. It's not really price controls. It's a ban on price gouging, which is different. Okay. Why would she do such a thing? Because of greedflation. This used to be considered a fringe conspiracy theory. Then eventually, over time, even mainstream news outlets had to admit, no, it turns out that that's exactly what's happening. Greedflation is what's happening. In other words, these companies used the hysteria and the mania and the panic around inflation to say, we can get away with jacking up prices even for goods that we don't have to jack up the prices. And that's what they did. That's greedflation. So look at this. Large grocers took advantage of pandemic supply chain disruptions, FTC fines. A report found that large firms pressured suppliers to favor them over competitors. It also concluded that some retailers seem to have used rising costs as an opportunity to further hike prices. Corporate greed. Her saying we're going to ban price gouging is her putting a check on corporate greed. Trump saying I'm not going to do that is him saying let the corporations run wild and price gouge everybody in sight. Look at this. Notable food companies with massive net income increases over the past year. Cal-Maine Foods up 718%. Kraft Heinz up 448%. ConAgra Brands up 56%. Nobody's saying these companies can't make a profit. Nobody's saying they can't make a profit. What they're saying is you can't price gouge. You can't be unreasonable on this front. You can't rob the American people. You can't lie about the source of why you have to raise prices so much. 718% increase? Get the fuck out of here. Any government that's looking out for its people would not allow this. Then, of course, this one. The Times demands serious economic ideas, is in the Washington Post. Harris supplies gimmicks. Harris's most outlandish plan is her proposal to ban price gouging. But that's just one of many misguided ideas. Again, Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. He also owns Whole Foods. Under this Kamala Harris plan, his ass would be put back in line. He wouldn't be able to price gouge people anymore. He would not be able to price gouge people anymore. I don't know why I'm giving them advice. I shouldn't give them advice. I don't agree with them. I oppose them. But this ain't it, homie. Shrieking communism, radical, socialist, right? Maoist. You think this is going to land? Because all people have to do is say, oh, what are they talking about that's so extreme? Oh, they want to lower grocery prices? I kind of support that. This isn't going to work. So actually, I'll shut up. By all means, proceed. Because this is not going to end well for you. And I think deep down they know that, which is why they're flailing. They appear so desperate because they are desperate. That's what we're witnessing. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.